social media setting, it's very easy to A, go from one network to another, or B, be on multiple networks. There really is no initial cost to create a profile or a page on a MySpace, a Facebook, a LinkedIn, a Twitter. And once you are there, moving from one to another is really quite simple. Because there is no exchange of money or currency to create a profile, you can be on multiple platforms at the same time. And now they might serve different audiences, might have different purposes, different uses, so you can be on all of them at the same time. But let's say that one of them is no longer hip or fashionable or super popular. It's pretty darn easy then to switch to a different one and stay on that environment. In many ways, you can essentially port or transport your friend community from one service to another at essentially no cost, because these services tend to mirror what is in your contact list. If you're in Outlook and you've got contacts, or you're in Gmail, these services often allow you to search your whole contact list and then find those people within that community. So it's very, very easy to go from one to another, and that makes it a challenge from the business environment. How do you get people to come to your site and then stay there and make it their home? And that's a very, very difficult environment. And it's part of the internet. We've moved from simple web pages to email to instant messaging, and now into a much more social media environment where you've got many, many friends who are following your movements, your communications, your photos, your videos, what it is you put online. So the switching costs are essentially zero in this environment.
Because I think there's some concern about politicians that to get into one format or now might lock them into something or whatever.
Yeah.
But your advice is counter to that.
Oh, my advice is to get into all of them. And if you are in all those environments, you will find people who live within those environments. A person who's on MySpace may not be on LinkedIn. A person who's on Facebook may not be using Twitter. Those are still people you want to communicate with. If they're interested in your issues, if they're your voters, if they're your family or friends, they may be in different places. You want to meet people where they are. And so my recommendation is to embrace multiple different services. And when you do so, the more active you are in those environments, the more likely you are to have followers, to have friends, to have people who are using those with you. But being in those different environments, you'll find different people in different places. It's kind of like going to, if you're on the campaign trail, you might go to this town's parade. Well, you don't assume that that's the only parade you have to march in. You also got to go to that town's parade and see those folks, and then another town's parade. So you want to meet people where they are, and that's the beauty of these networks. You can find people where they are, where they're getting information, where they're getting entertainment, and meet them there.
One other concern they have is that by letting go of their message, essentially letting other people speak for them. But
Sure.
you had a good message about that today, I thought.
Yeah, we talked about making sure, or understanding that in the social media setting, in the Web 2.0 world, it's much, much more challenging to control one's own message. It's very different than just sending a mailer out to an entire community of people and saying, that's my message on this issue. Instead, what you're doing is you're communicating with people who then communicate on your behalf. They may not be with you 100% of the time. Some of them may not even be in your party. They may be your opponent. But you want to make sure you're finding people where they get their information and understanding that many folks will take what you've given them and then add comment on it, analysis, descriptions, interpretations. That means your message might not be exactly as you prescribed it. It may not be your 3 bullet points, 1, 2, 3. It might be your bullet points with someone's essay on top of it. Say a blogger puts an essay on top of it and says, this is what I think about those 3 bullet points. That's not a bad thing. They may not be your friend, but if they get your points right, your message is going to get out. If they are your friend, they are a reflector. They help amplify your message to their own network of people. We had an example today where a young congressman chose not to use one of the online services. And he communicated that to someone, said, no, I'm not going to use Twitter. Well, it turned out that someone tweeted about his decision not to use Twitter. And that message then got out to tens of thousands of people. So he missed an opportunity, A, to engage his constituents where they were on Twitter, and B, to control his message. What happened was someone else went out there and interpreted his use of the social web and did it negatively, and he looked less effective as a result.